Punk rock is so vague and amorphous, it's really hard to define. All at once, it can be a music, a style of dress, an attitude, a radicalizing moment, a code, an ethic, but it can also be like a commodified product, a rigid cage, like a retweet, or like something terribly disappointing. It can be beautiful, life-changing, life-saving. It can also be terrible and brutal, and wrought with all the bullshit. Bullshit. Oh, sorry.
You don't need that.
It's
fine.
Bullshit of mainstream society. Luckily, we have a panel of experts here to discuss such things. And this is not some academic bullshit. I have no idea what these people are going to say. It's exciting. Everyone's going to talk about their own experiences, whatever they want to talk about, because there are no fucking rules, right? Punk rock. So let me do some quick introductions and we'll get on with it. John Robb, at the end, formerly formed the critically acclaimed band, The Membranes. If you didn't know it, they're playing here tonight. A sharp journalist and historian, John wrote the PM Press book Punk Rock and Oral History, has a multimedia empire called Louder Than More.
Empire.
And lectures on punk, DIY, and the universe, which you can find at TEDx. Please welcome John Robb. Next to John is Penelope who fronted the seminal San Francisco punk band The Avengers. But that was just for 2 years. Since then, she has proven to be one of the most pioneering women in music, period, with a long, award-winning career as a singer and songwriter. While she may have pulled away from punk rock music, Penelope has maintained a sharp message, thought-provoking lyrics, and a critical eye on things that fuck up society. That's punk rock indeed. Please welcome Penelope. Next to Penelope is Nicky Garratt, an internationally recognized guitar player and vegetarian chef, author of the PM Press cookbook Mango and Mint, Arabian, Indian, and North African-inspired vegan cuisine. He is former member and original member of the UK Subs. Since then, he has built a successful record company, New Red Archives, and has been a steadfast advocate and lecturer for science and animal rights. Please welcome Nicky. Gonzales played drums and wrote lyrics for the many influential bands in the 80s and 90s, including Spitboy, who toured extensively in the US and overseas. Her book, The Spitboy Rule, Tales of a Takata and a Female Punk Band, comes out in PM Press in April 2016. Naturally. Her writing has been published in anthologies, literary journals, and Hip Mama magazine. She teaches English and creative writing at Las Positas College, and still rocks with an all-English teacher band. Please welcome Michelle Cruz Gonzales. And lastly, Jello Biafra, musician, spoken word artist, political activist, Dead Kennedys, Alternative Tentacles Records, Guantanamo School of Medicine, on and on and on. Let's just say I read the lyrics from Too Drunk to Fuck in my 7th grade English class for a poetry assignment, and I got suspended. So thank you, Jen. So I'll turn it now over to John Robb to start.
Okay, so I've got 10 minutes to define punk rock. I think that's an almost impossible task for a lot of reasons, because I think even in this room itself, every single person has got an utterly different idea of what punk rock actually is. And it's something, and one of the great things about punk rock that people have been spending 38 years arguing exactly what it is. And being an English person in a room almost completely full of Americans, my definition is going to be very, very different, I imagine. And I like to think of punk rock in a sense like being a cultural Big Bang. In a way, you know, like, you don't know what happened before, and everything that came out of the Big Bang ended up in different parts of the universe. So everybody that came out of punk rock itself ended up in totally different places, and there was no right or wrong version of it, but there is my version, my idea of what it is. And for me, growing up in a small town in the north of England. It's called Blackpool. It's like a holiday town. It's like a cool version of Las Vegas. Yeah? You've been there, haven't you? Why are you laughing? It's a great place. I'm going to be it's so ugly.
It's like New Jersey.
It's better than New Jersey. It's got a tower. So we're going on there. Yes, you're right. There wasn't much cultural stuff to do. So when punk rock came along, I think everybody who's my age, I'm 54 now, so growing up in the 70s, you were entranced by music already because the glam rock thing was very big for us growing up in England. When I say glam rock, I don't mean like Hanoi Rocks and all those kind of bands with curly hair. I mean all the great bands like T-Rex and David Bowie, and even the ones that people always laugh at, but it's all really great as well, like Mud or Sweet and Slade. They were great bands. But even those bands were something growing up in Blackpool. It was an indefinable place. It was somewhere you couldn't do it yourself. I mean, David Bowie, for us, he came from London, which was like outer space. And he really did come from outer space as well. I've seen the film. And London to us was outer space. Nobody ever went to London. London was like 5 hours away on the train. It was just like a completely different world. So making music was something that nobody ever did until punk rock came along. And the most exciting thing I remember was that somebody turned up at school with the Buzzcocks Spiral Scratch EP, which is an amazing record anyway, like musically and lyrically. But when you actually looked at the sleeve, it was a black and white sleeve, and it looked really homemade. It made us realise you could make your own records. And over the years, meeting a lot of people my age around the UK who played in bands, that record was so key to us. And this is a very, they like to call us, provincial, I don't know why, people don't live in London, are provincial people, like we live in a province of London or something, I never understood that. But northern people, that record's really important. It's probably a very different experience for you, Nicky, being in London. But in the north, punk rock was more of a handed down to us culture. But the greatest thing about the Buzzcocks, they took punk rock out of London and they gave it to the rest of England. So when they put the Sex Pistols gig on in Manchester in 1976, it was a very key moment. It's a DIY gig in a sense. And the record's a DIY record. It inspired us to make our own records. We didn't realise you could make your own records. I mean, I think one of the greatest things about punk rock, and especially those people outside the London inner circle, people growing up in little northern towns, was our utter naivety. We did actually think music would totally change the world, and we did think, and we believed everything we read about punk rock, we totally believed in it. We didn't realise that most people were just making it all as they went along. A lot of it was like PR, kind of media mythology, which is great as well, because I like a great story, a great yarn. But we kind of believed this kind of manifesto was coming, and we tried to live that manifesto. That's how stupid and naive we were. And we spent the next 38 years kind of living the manifesto. So that record, that DIY record was really exciting. So it made us realise to make our own records. You didn't have to get any permission to make any music, and you could just go and make music yourself. And it didn't have to be any kind of form. It didn't have to have, it didn't have to be proper music. Whatever came out of your hands, what was the music. Another great thing that turned up was Sniffing Glue fanzine, Mark Perry's great punk rock fanzine. And it had all the spelling mistakes in it, the headings were done. It's all photocopied, the headings were done biros and felt tips. And that was really inspiring as well, because we used to read the music press before that. We had no idea you could actually write about music if you came from Blackpool. But when you actually saw a fanzine, you realised you could make your own media, which nowadays, everyone in this room, we can remember, it's hard to make your own media 30 years ago. Try to explain that to an 18-year-old now. I mean, anybody could go on Twitter and say whatever they want, which is fantastic. It's much more open than it was. But the idea then you could actually write stuff down and other people read it was pretty mind-blowing. So for me, the greatest things that came out of punk rock, in some ways the most revolutionary things that came out of punk rock for a lot of people that I knew, what was the empowerment, this idea you could do anything you wanted, and if you did it badly, at least you were doing it. And the DIY culture as well, that you didn't have to get any permission off anybody to make anything. And to me, that kind of defines what punk rock was. And there's a lot of other things that really define punk rock as well, like great records. And in England, the clothes in England get important as well. So it was like walking around punk rock clothes like Declaration of War, especially in places like Blackpool. You get beaten up for not having hair over your ears and not wearing flare trousers. I mean, it's hard to imagine this kind of thing now. Society's changed so much. But those are really important aspects of punk. But the key thing to me is this idea that you can make anybody make anything they wanted to do. We didn't have any permission to get engaged in any kind of culture at all. So that's my definition of punk rock.